The Glass House is rated M for a mature audience. It contains sexual references, adult themes and material that may offend some viewers.
Ahead in the Glass House, John Howard looks forward to an end of 8 years of constipation in the Senate.
What a relief that must be.
Welcome to the Glass House, the program that asks the question, do you think it's true what they say, that you'll always find a bit of poo in Paris? More news and chocolates on the pillow this week, but the big stories are still coming out of Canberra. Since snatching massacre from the jaws of defeat in the election, the ALP has been busy tearing itself apart with yet another round of factional bastardry. Most of the tantrums have been over the coveted position of Shadow Treasurer. A seat on the Labor front bench hasn't been so hot since Bob Hawke's electric prostate warmer shorted out. I'm not sure that Bob Hawke was a pirate, but the new theory is it's better to have rivals inside the tent pissing out than outside the tent pissing in. Unfortunately, every time Mark goes anywhere near the tent, he still gets pissed on. In other election news, now all the seats have finally been decided, taxpayers are going to start forking out millions of dollars in funding to dud candidates who didn't stand a chance of winning. Hello, Ross Cameron. Every candidate who gets above 4% receives $1.94 per vote. Pauline Hanson got done like a dinner in Queensland, but she's still going to pocket $200,000. No wonder she's dancing. Meanwhile, the Nationals are in trouble for allegedly making dodgy promises during the election in exchange for preferences from the fishing party. The Nats did a lot of weird preference deals during the campaign. They even considered changing their name to One Fish Family First Nation. But the deals worked and the Nationals did better than expected. So, after sleeping in the wet spot with the fish lovers, they're starting talks with the Pave the Rainforest party, the Let's Turn Kangaroo Scrotums into Tobacco Pouches party, and the Wombat Stranglers party. Congrats!
Heavenly news, Wilsifer. A survey in Britain has found that 1 in 3 people believes in angels and 1 in 5 believes they've actually been helped by one, which means 2 out of every 5 who do believe in angels haven't been helped by one. So mostly what they believe is that angels are unhelpful bastards. And while the 1 in 5 who were helped by angels said it was nice having them over, they do leave wing fluff everywhere. By the way, those winged monkeys you see in The Wizard of Oz while you're stoned, they don't count as angels. The survey was carried out by British TV's This Morning program. So really, it's 1 in 3 morning television viewers who believe in angels and life after death. Which makes more sense. Those people believe 3 minutes on an ab cruncher will counter a whole day of sucking back pork fat. Personally, I do believe in angels. They taste like chicken.
I'm not happy. I'm angry. Because I've found out that in Britain they're going to introduce guinea pigs to the menus of restaurants. Now, guinea pigs have had to put up with some pretty weird and terrible experiments over the years. But to have to put up with British chefs is just too much. Animal rights protesters aren't happy, but they're never happy, are they? They protested again this week, animal rights protesters, at Fashion Week. Although I'm not happy about Fashion Week. I tell you, it's the 60th Fashion Week we've had so far this year. There's only 52 weeks in a year. What the hell? It's October. Enough of the Fashion Weeks. We get the message. Rack off, you skinny models. Seriously, give me the ears. But anyway, the protesters... It was Wayne Cooper had a fashion parade in Melbourne, all right? And Wayne Cooper came out after. He said he was mystified at what the protesters were protesting about. He said the fur came from animals from New Zealand. And we hate New Zealand. apparently they're possums from New Zealand, all right? And apparently they're destroying the forests over there. Oh, well, fair enough. In Tasmania, the loggers are destroying the forests. We don't cut their throats off and wear them around as bloody neckties, do we? Know what I mean?
All right, let's get to it. Joining me, Corinne and Dave, to throw some stones in the glass house tonight from The Chaser, and today on Triple J, Chris Taylor! And author of the new book, Hello, Mrs. A Girl's Own Guide to Foreign Affairs, Lynne, Minion. All right, movers and shakers. First up, the federal government, which has threatened to take over water management from the states. And they've already come up with a range of methods to deal with the shortage. Launch a preemptive strike on Antarctica. Bring out the T-shirts from all those exercising fat kids. A water pistol buyback scheme. Automatic super soakers outlawed. Instead of drinking it with water, eat your coffee straight. If you prefer tea, suck a bag. And instead of putting a brick in the cistern, brick up the whole toilet and buy a really big kiddie litter tray. In parts of Western Sydney, people are already using recycled effluent, which makes sense. It frees up clean water for drinking, it's chock full of fertiliser for the garden, and men come with their very own hose. Hey kids, who wants to run through the sprinkler? Dave, you want to run through the sprinkler? Are you a water conservationist?
Oh, I never used to be, but I'm becoming one now, and I'm not happy about it. The government has brainwashed me. Like, it was pouring with rain last week, and I turned into a grandmother. I'm like, oh, at least it's good for the garden. I swear to God, if I got stuck in a flood in my car, as the water went up to my mouth and I was about to drown, I'd be going, oh, well, at least the farmers will be happy. I don't want to be like that.
It's so true, you do, don't you? Like, I, at the toilet in my house, like when people are weeing, just go, I just start doing Nana sayings. Like, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, send it down. If it's green, consult a doctor.
I only use water for three things, I reckon. Showering, watering plants, and dishes.
Yeah.
So what I've decided to do...
Wait,
And washing.
Tiger,
What?
what do you brush your teeth in? Creme de menthe?
Gin.
All right, so cool.
So what I do, I just absolutely multitask now.
Yeah.
I uproot all my plants, I get into the shower with them, I get all the dishes from the night before and just get in. It can be a bugger with the walk sometimes. You get an azalea, you scrub your walk with the azalea, you get it all down. It's a beautiful thing and I'm saving water.
You know what annoys me? When it pours down with rain and we all go, oh, that's good for the water and everything, and then they come on the news and go, oh, it missed the dams.
Yeah.
That really shits me. Why don't they move the dams to where the water is?
I've always been perplexed by people who hose their driveway.
Yes.
It's concrete.
It's like
it
they think
doesn't
it's
need
gonna-
watering.
It's like they think it's going to grow into a highway or something. Are you a water saver, Lynne?
I am a water saver, and I don't understand why people have got a problem with recycling effluent. I think for
Because
a start...
it's wee and stuff.
Yeah, but it's not by the time
it's
you
a whole
drink
new
it.
meaning to the idea of getting on the piss.
I guess that's true.
And
but-
if you actually instituted legislation to make sure that people in that area had to drink really high-quality wine, well, you know, there'd be that double purpose. You could have vintages of your water.
Vintages of urine. Oh, this is a nice. This is a
No, no,
nice.
no, water.
This is a beautiful Shane Warne, 1993.
It is ironic that people are a bit reluctant and feel a bit funny about drinking recycled effluent because that is actually the formula for Dr Pepper. And if you look at the TV industry, like, you know, if you've seen the opening monologue of Daryl Summers on Dancing with the Stars, he's been happy to recycle his own shit for years.
Our next movers and shakers are researchers from the UK who found that people who keep a diary are more likely to suffer from a range of serious health problems than people who don't. And if you like to read your diary entries again and again, you're particularly prone to things like anxiety, sleeplessness, headaches, digestive problems and social awkwardness. Even greater problems are suffered by those who read their girlfriend's diary. Other symptoms include shortness of breath, wearing strange black outfits and talking in a deep, booming voice. That's because keeping a diary can make you dwell on your problems, which can lead to anxiety. Anxiety leads to fear. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to the dark side. Next thing you know, you're building a Death Star and shooting Ewoks for kicks. Dyslexic diary keepers are also prone to depression. They often find out too late they've been keeping a dairy. And by then, all the milk has gone off. Lynne, you wrote about a big diary about East Timor. Was it good for your health?
No, it wasn't good for my health at all. It's like memoir writers, I think, are like diary keepers. You know, we're very self-obsessed, self-indulgent, social isolates.
What was the weirdest thing you found, though, in your time in East Timor? What was the one that really strikes out to you as the weirdest thing about being there?
One thing that people don't realise... By the way, can I just say that people here heard that I'd written a book about East Timor. That just sounds so boring. It's actually a comedy, which may sound rather peculiar unless you've been there. When I started writing the book, people in Australia would say, you can't write a comedy about East Timor.
No.
I went back over...
They say you can't write a comedy about East Timor, but, you know, Hogan's Heroes were set in Nazi prison camps.
Exactly.
Sure. Yeah. Genuinely interested.
Thank you. But when you're over there, you realise that a peacekeeping mission is actually made up of around 90% men. 90% men. Can you imagine that, girls? And so I went over there and
I'm going to be a peacekeeper. Hello, boys.
Or go on an end-of-season trip with the Canterbury Bulldogs.
I tell you what, actually, if people were coming to the end of their mission, tours of duty for most people over there were, say, around 6 months for peacekeepers and also for police officers. So by the time they're, say, past the 4-month mark, they're getting a bit toey.
Right, yeah.
Oh, all right. So what do they do? What happens?
There was a particular occasion where a Jordanian peacekeeper was in relationships with the goat.
Did they become...
What are you talking about, Willis?
And I'll give you one particular example.
No, so wait, Tiger, but...
Pen pals?
Are you
What sort of...
Just kissing?
Is goat some groovy term that I don't know for young people?
So you're serious
No, they were
here?
literally the fauna. The fauna, the poor goats who...
Are these wild goats or...?
They're wild goats.
All
but it was
right.
only...
Wild and easy.
They're wild.
So they're up for it.
There was a particular occasion where a Jordanian peacekeeper was in flagrant delicto with a goat, and the goat's pelvis collapsed.
Oh, my God!
Trapping him inside. So, what was the bloke to do? But he's got his trousers around his ankles. He's still attached to the goat, so he goes out onto the dirt road, waves down a UN peace...
Is he trying to pretend it's some sort of exotic sporran?
Why didn't I see this on Dateline?
People say that politics is boring. It's fascinating.
Yes.
So he waves down a UN vehicle. The startled occupants inside, on their mobile phones, they ring the Medivac chopper, which at the time was run by Australians and Kiwis, who, as they...
The Kiwis are like, that's disgusting. A sheep I'd understand. But a goat? Ooh.
As they airlifted the package to hospital, they were heard to say, let's save the goat and put the Jordanian down.
But
there are photographs.
But that is... I mean, apparently, it's not just dangerous for the goats over there, though, still. It's still dangerous for, like, everyone, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be dangerous. I mean, there's...
What was the most dangerous thing that happened to you while you were there?
I almost had my arm chopped off with a machete, and I wouldn't really recommend that as a pastime.
What had you done? You fiddle with a goat.
What did you do?
Yeah,
Why did you nearly get your arm chopped?
Oh, look, he was just having a bit of fun. I saw him lift his arms. I noticed the machete above me. There is nothing you can do when it's a situation like that. He brought it down and I just had to wait to see what the outcome of that would be.
What was the outcome?
The outcome was that it stopped just above my wrist and then he burst out laughing.
Oh, so...
I'm having flashbacks to my circumcision.
That's an idea of a joke, is to go around in a car with a machete and just sort of scare the living shit out of people.
I guess for that person it was a pastime.
And what was more horrific for you to experience in East Timor, that or when John Farnham came to perform?
Our favourite movement shaker this week is the leader of the goddamn free world, George W. Bush. A long-time Republican supporter claims that Bush told him before the Iraq War that the US would not suffer any casualties. Yes, George said the invasion of Iraq would be safe as houses. He just didn't say whose. How naive can the head of America's armed forces be? At the very least, they'd shoot a few of their own. Chris, you're a respected media commentator. Have you got a tip for the US election?
No, I don't. It's going to be very close. It's obviously up to the Florida Supreme Court and their Republican-appointed... my favourite part of the election, though, has been the whole Arnold Schwarzenegger, Maria Shriver thing, his wife. Did you see this? Maria Shriver, who's part of the Camelot sort of Kennedy clan.
She was a Kennedy, yeah.
She's a Democrat, born and bred, and married to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and she refused to have sex with Arnie for 2 whole weeks because he endorsed George W. Bush. And she refused to have sex with him for 6 weeks for Jingle All the Way.
I'm going to explode!
Imagine having sex with Arnie. That wouldn't be fun, would it? I mean, I'm not a woman, but I still don't think it'd be fun.
I reckon you'd know what a goat felt like on the end of a Jordan.
I mean, I don't normally used to take an interest in politics, but I hope George Bush loses.
Yeah, he's nuts.
I think he's mental.
Yeah.
It's an interesting election, because we were doing the Chase of Decides following this election, but in a way, this election's more important because unlike the Australian election, the US election actually determines who's going to lead Australia for the next 4 years.
Exactly.
What do you reckon, Corinne? Are you fascinated? Do you have a sense of... John Kerry, to me, has that look of... And maybe it's just
like a Ken doll.
He's got a bit of Muppet about him, doesn't he?
A bit of Roger Ramjet. He's got the long face.
Like if any stage during the war, he's going to pop a proton pill.
We all know Bush has trouble with language. I mean, you know, he's only the president, fair enough. But he just got it wrong when he said there'd be no casualties. I think the quote was there will be no casualties and we'll find thousands of weapons of mass destruction. What he meant to say was there'll be no weapons of mass destruction and we'll find thousands of casualties.
It's like, here's a man who once said, the question is rarely asked, is our children learning?
He also said, you disarm or we will. He's great. His quotes are great for fridge magnets, though. Have a look at them. I've got a couple on. Fantastic.
Actually, in my book, I refer to the Timorese often as Timorians because that's a George Bushism.
Oh, he said Timorians, really?
Timorians, yes.
Oh, he did once say, it's great to be here in Europe, it's a wonderful country.
My favourite one was... There was a brilliant one, and my favourite was when he said, oh, you can't trust the French because they don't even have a word for entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Later in the glass house, George W. Bush announces his new strategy for Iraq. America will surrender with their fingers crossed.
And you cannot win a war when you don't believe you're fighting one.
National Party leader John Anderson congratulates Mark Latham on his decision to appoint the Smurfs to his shadow cabinet.
You've got a great little team over there now, and they're going to be extremely influential.
And scientists unveil a new way to reduce Queensland's amphibian menace, cane-toed luxa.
It's competition time. This week, an experimental bit of the glasshouse called... Our man Barry Duggett has an unashamed love of 80s metal, fishing, Celtic Football Club, and reckons John Howard really is Satan. He also thinks it's time we discuss selection criteria for a new pope. Because, as he says, JP2 is going to kick the bucket soon and the world needs another front man in a white with a funny hat. Corinne, who'd make a good Holy Father?
I reckon maybe Jeff from The Wiggles.
Why is that?
Because he can't stay awake either. So he would fit in. I also think we need to mix it up again. I mean, why is the Pope always a Catholic?
Yeah.
And how good would it be in church if instead of doing that old blah, 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 they just went...
That'd be great.
Dave Hughes, who should be
I want the Dalai Lama to be Pope.
Yes.
I actually want to merge the religions. I want a super religion. I think a lot of companies merge. Why can't religions merge? And it would be good for, you know, stuff. But why isn't there just one religion, guys? Let's all think about that. Then we'll move on.
Chris, who do you reckon should be the new Pope, mate?
Look, I think it's a very premature question. I've never seen the current incumbent look so fit. Look, I give him another 40 to 60 years. I'd even like to see JP2 be the Pope posthumously.
Oh, like, kind of like Weekend at Popey's. Yeah.
I don't think there's any guarantee that they're not doing that now.
Yes! Has anyone taken his pulse?
I know.
Oh, but he's moving around a lot.
No, he's really not. He just sits there and goes
but he shakes
that.
a lot. I mean, dead people don't shake.
Well, maybe there's just a cardinal behind him trying to make him look animated, so it's just someone behind him just making him go like that.
Lynne Minion, who do you think should be the next Pope?
Yeah, the token Catholic who's wearing rosary beads. Yep. I think that Mel Gibson actually is already the Pope.
Yeah. Mel Gibson would be an awesome Pope. He'd be tough.
Yeah, he would be.
He'd
be hardcore.
The Pope's back, and this time it's personal.
Well, look, at least he's had some life experience, you know, the women and the wine and the song and all of that. I mean, I'd actually like to have got a Prime Minister who's had a life, let alone a Pope. They're making all of these edicts that guide the way we live our lives. That could be something for a change. Or a black lesbian, I'd like.
So you want Oprah to be Pope?
Oh!
Is that what you're saying? Some news. On November 26th, we're doing our last show of the year, but it's going to be a bit special, and we need your help. Please. We're presenting the inaugural Glass House Awards for Excellence, and you're going to vote for them. We're going to announce a different award every week, so remember, vote early and vote often. Tonight, outstanding excellence in the field of religion. And the nominees are 1. 6 Buddhist monks in Thailand who have been defrocked for holding rowdy alcohol and drug-fuelled parties. 2. Naval technician Christopher Crenmer, who's become the first registered Satanist in the British Armed Forces. 3. Ferrari, which has promised to make the Pope a Formula 1 car. And 4. The Family First campaign volunteer who said lesbians are witches and should be burnt to death. Man, he's going to hate the new Pope. You can vote 2 ways on the website at abc.net.au/glasshouse or by SMS on 191819. Just put religion 1, religion 2, religion 3 or religion 4. So vote. You heard me. Vote. And try not to screw up the Senate this time. Well, someone did. In Sydney, a 40-year-old single woman has spent $5,000 on a billboard advertising for a husband wanted. Helen Zhu's ad reads, beautiful, intelligent Australian Chinese lady seeks to have dream family with a fabulous partner to enjoy a lifetime with. Must be in good health, non-smoker or drinker, age up to 45, good sense of humour, businessman or professional with solid financial background and dangerous driving habits to the point where he'll read this entire billboard while driving down the highway at 120 kilometres an hour. It's not a bad idea, but Helen obviously doesn't know too much about men. If you want to get a bloke's attention, you don't say husband wanted. You show a seductive photo of yourself wearing Elle Macpherson underwear and suggestively stroking a long neck.
She's being very picky, isn't she?
Yeah.
She also says 45 and unencumbered, so you can't have had an ex-wife, you can't have any children. She's narrowed her field down to, well, nothing.
Which is a pity because Ross Cameron had wrong number 3 times.
$5,000, you just put $5,000 worth of beer and put it on her front lawn. She would have had guys all over the joint.
But they can't, that's the other thing, they can't be a drinker, they can't be a smoker, they have to have money in the bank, they have to be a professional, they're not allowed to have any children or any ex-wives. What fantasy world is... No wonder she's single. Exactly. Lower your standards like the rest of us, love.
Don't you think, though...
What do you do as a single woman, though, to meet people? What do you do, Lynn? Where do you go? To East Timor? No.
Well, funnily enough, you're not actually going to necessarily find somebody who's going to marry you over there. That's not really the whole point over there. It's just desperate primal desire. Because they spend so long...
Did you go to East Timor or on a P&O
No, I didn't
fun
have
ship? It's time to award the Coveted Glasshouse Trophy, which this week is called... And the winners of the See You, Polly Cuttlefish of Gratitude are a team of Scottish firefighters who not only extinguished a blaze in a flat in Edinburgh recently, they used an oxygen mask to save the life of a pet parrot. After using the oxygen mask, a fiery grabbed Roger and pounded on his chest, shouting, "Squawk, damn you! Squawk!" But this was a Scottish parrot, remember? So he woke up swearing and headbutted the fireman. So the trophy goes to the tartan tool and his puffed parrot. During the fire, Roger said his whole life flashed before his eyes. Well, actually, he said, my whole life flashed before my eyes. Although he did add some pieces about work experience with pirates to make it more interesting. Well, that's the way it is for Friday, October the 29th. Thank you very much, Lynne. Thank you so much, Chris. Don't forget to vote for this week's award for excellence. abc.net.au/glasshouse or SMS on 191819. And remember to check your TV guides for another in our fabulous series of new time slots. For the next 3 weeks, we'll be on at 9:50. Collect the whole set. And let's take a look at tomorrow's headlines. The Express Advocate has heartbroken Leighton Hewitt returns to first love, himself. In the Illawarra Mercury, authorities promote water efficiency. Recycled sewage, a bladder of opportunity. The Montreal Globe and Mail says testosterone patch improves female sex drive, but chicks with beards dampen male sex drive. And in Daily Tally says Sydney police get smart car, hoping for his shoe phone too. Good night.
Don't miss the Glass House next week at the earlier time of 9:45. But on Monday, join us as one of the legends of the music world sets foot in Russia for the very first time. That's Paul McCartney in Red Square, Monday at 9:30 on ABC.